Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Joey Sugarmuck is back here with another video for you guys. And, guys, per usual, it is Saturday night, and I'm going to be giving you my game picks for Week 13. How is it already Week 13 of the 2022 NFL season? So let's jump right on into it, guys. Coming up with the first game tomorrow afternoon, we have the 4-7 Steelers and the 5-7 Falcons. So the Steelers, man, they're a team. They're just scrappy is the word that I keep coming up with to describe them. Every year, I want to count them out. I want to say they suck. They're not going to be an issue. But every year, man, they always are a little scrappy, and they find a way to make do. Now, then again, 4-7 is not good, and I do think this is going to be a rare year where they're not in the playoff picture. I don't think they're going to make it, but they're still not going to be a team that's an easy win. They are going to give almost every team a hard time. There's just something about that team where they are so pesky, man, and they're a very competitive team. So, and they play a lot of teams tough, except for the Chiefs. So, anyways, this game, both teams, I guess you could say it's a must-win. The Falcons, they're 5-7, but they find themselves very much in position to possibly win their division. Their division is much worse than it usually is. The Saints suck. The Bucks are mediocre. The Falcons very mediocre, and the Panthers are horrible. So the Falcons could win that division, and they know that. So they're definitely playing their hearts out right now. But I got to go with the Steelers here. I think the Steelers are playing better football. I think Kenny Pickett has looked better the past few weeks. He looked great against Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. And I think Pittsburgh is starting to get healthier too. So give me Pittsburgh winning this game, guys, 24-17. Next game, guys. Ooh, we're getting right on into it. We have the 3-8 Broncos at the 7-4 Ravens. So the Broncos, easily the biggest disappointment of this year, if it's not the Rams. Of course, they were known for that blockbuster trade, or in I think March it was, giving up a lot for Russell Wilson, and it just has not panned out well at all. Russell Wilson has had his worst year of his career by a mile. He's just been atrocious. The Broncos' offense has been neutralized, and really, I mean, now they're 3-8, which is horrible, but also they have been in a lot of close games, but that has been pretty much solely because of their defense. Their defense has actually been better than I thought. I was kind of concerned about their defense this year because I thought that they kind of lost a lot of guys, but their defense has been pretty good. And I know their secondary is very good. I know Patrick Surtain, but he's been out, I think, with injuries. Justin Simmons, he too has been out with injuries, I think, as well. But when healthy, their secondary is very good. They have a decent front seven as well. So the defense has been pretty good. But yeah, the offense has just been underperforming big time for them. Ravens, meanwhile, it's rinse, wash, and repeat. It's just back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, should be 8-3 right now. Frankly, could be 11-0 right now, but I'm not going to go down that path. Anyway, the story of this week was just how did we let that game last week slip away from us? And I know exactly why. It's missed opportunities and just selling in the fourth quarter. But again, I'm not going to get into all the specifics. We talked about that last week. But anyways, Ravens 7-4 right now. We are currently in first place in the division. We are tied with Cincinnati record-wise. But we have the tiebreaker because we beat them earlier this year. We need to win this game. I don't want to play if we lose, we can count on the Chiefs to beat the Bengals. No. We need to win this game. We need to win the games that we are supposed to win. We need to take advantage of us having an easy schedule and Cincinnati having a hard schedule, and we need to win these games. It should have started last week with the Jaguars, but it didn't. We need to win this game. The good news, we are getting some guys back this week. Kyle Hamilton is likely to return. I think he practiced like twice in full participation this week. Marlon Humphrey was dealing with an ankle injury last week. He should be back. Ronnie Stanley's questionable. I think he's probably not going to play if I have to guess. Obviously, I could be wrong. He was I think he was limited a couple days. He missed a day or two. I would say we're probably going to hold him out one night. Before we did, I really would like Stanley at full strength for next week against the Steelers because, of course, T.J. Watt, but another guy is Alex Highsmith. He's been having a career year. So I would like Stanley in there against the Steelers next week. So I hope we hold him out this week, but then again, not my choice. But yes, hopefully Kyle Hamilton is back. And then against the Steelers next week, we also could get Marcus Williams and J.K. Dobbins back. So those are two big upgrades, or big uplifts to the team. Anyways, for the Ravens, I think in this game we need to establish the ground game. It wasn't as good last week, I didn't think. Obviously, Edwards was off. He has a chance to redeem himself this week because Dobbins is still out. Of course, Kenyon Drake and Justice Hill are there, but I think Edwards will get the bulk of the carries. Needs to protect the football. I mean, fumbling is so rare from him, but he did it at like the worst possible time last week. Just need to hang on to the football, drive the ball downfield, and our offense we can't turn the ball over, which besides the fumble, we did pretty well last week. And our defense, man, needs to go back to where it was before the Jaguars game, where it was actually playing really well. And last week, I just felt like a big setback because we had been playing so well defensively up until then for the past few weeks, but then we just sold. But getting Hamilton back, I think, will help. I think the pass rush has been better. The Broncos' offensive line is not very good either. So I think the Ravens are going to get this win. We're pretty desperate for a bounce back after last week. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think we're going to have some sloppy offensive play, but I do think we'll be able to prevail in a win. Give me the Ravens winning this game 23-17. Next game, guys, we have the 4-8 Packers and the 3-9 Bears. The complete battle of mid. In mid is even generous. So the Packers put up a decent fight against the Eagles last week. I think they only lost by like a touchdown. But then this was news to me. Apparently Aaron Rodgers went out with like a ribs injury, and then Jordan Love came in and actually played pretty well. So as far as I know, Rodgers is up and at it again this week. But that is something to keep an eye on, especially if the Packers find their season to be totally foiled. Maybe they'll give Love some more action. The Bears, meanwhile, I think have been at least somewhat of a disappointment this year. Justin Fields has obviously, it's the common sophomore slump, as you call it. And he's definitely having that. He's had a tough sophomore year, but it can happen. And he doesn't have a lot of help around him. I mean, I know he has Darnell Mooney, but his offensive line isn't good. I don't think the Bears are a well-coached team. Their defense is not remotely as good as it used to be. So, yeah, the Bears have a lot of issues. It's in Chicago, but I guess I'll pick the Packers because I do think they're the better all-around team. So give me Green Bay winning this game, guys, 24-20. Next game, guys, we have the 4-7 Jaguars at the 4-7 Lions. So the Jaguars, of course, coming off a crazy comeback win against Baltimore last week. The Lions, meanwhile, another close game that they lose. I would be very curious on counting every single close game the Lions have lost over the past couple of years, man. They just cannot win close games. They give a lot of teams fight. They're, again, a very competitive team, but they just cannot. They can't pull it out in close games, man. They just simply cannot. So, with that being said, the Jaguars were in a close game last week, and they were able to pull it out. So I guess that would lead me to go with the Jaguars here, but I don't know. I kind of go back and forth because I do think the Lions are actually kind of hot right now, despite losing to the Bills last week. I think they're playing better on both sides of the ball. I do think they're well coached, man. I like Dan Campbell. I think he's a great motivator. And again, the Lions have been showing life. On offense especially. Jared Goff has been playing pretty well, actually. It's also in Detroit, so for the fun of it, give me the Lions winning this game. And I know I just went on a rampage saying, the Lions can't pull out close games, but you know what? Why not? Let's say that the Lions finally pull out a close game here, and I'm going to go with the Lions winning this one 27-24. Should be a pretty good game, though. Okay, next game, guys, we have the 4-7 Browns at the 1-9-1 Texans. This is going to be a show. Why? Because Deshaun Watson, remember him, the long-lost friend, making his debut tomorrow, his NFL debut for the Browns. As far as I know, he is making his debut tomorrow for the Browns against his old team, the Houston Texans. What better game to make his debut? So, of course, the Browns, 4-7 right now, but now they have the quarterback that they have been waiting for to step in. So, what is going to happen? I mean, remains to be seen. I'd have to think there's going to be some rust from Deshaun Watson. We'll see some flash from him, but I doubt he's going to go right back to where he was in 2020 or the last time he played. I think it was 2020. I doubt it. I think we're gonna see some rust, but he's gonna have to get acclimated a little bit. But this is also a good game for him to debut against. I mean, yes, this is the Texans, but also the Texans absolutely suck. So it should be a pretty easy win for the Browns. The Texans 1-9-1 there. Davis Mills had flashes as a rookie, but he's been pretty bad this year. So give me the Browns win this game pretty easily, 35-10. I think Watson will have a pretty good debut, but mostly because it's the Texans, and the Browns win it easily and dominate on the ground, 35-10. Okay, next game, guys, we have the 7-4 Jets at the 9-2 Vikings. So the Jets, obviously, a surprise this year. They have been playing at least decent football. 7-4. They've been inconsistent. There have been games where they've looked pretty good. There are games when they've looked pretty bad. Though I do think in general their defense has been pretty good. They've been playing pretty well defensively. Offensively has been the biggest issue. Obviously, Zach Wilson has been horrible this year, and then he got benched last week for Mike White. And it seems like, and this is just rumors, but it sounds like the team and the players are much more fond of Mike White than they are of Zach Wilson. I think with Zach Wilson's comments after the Patriots lost, 2 weeks ago, really sparked some tempers for the Jets players, and they were kind of sick of him. So with Mike White playing now, I think the players are much more motivated, and the Jets are playing well defensively. So that's all good. However, they have a very tough task tomorrow on the road against the Vikings, who, of course, got absolutely shellacked by the Cowboys 2 weeks ago, but they were able to bounce back and get a nice win against the Patriots on Thanksgiving night. Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk Cousins, not usually good, but he actually played pretty well the other night. Justin Jefferson had a monster game. He is just out of his mind right now. It's in Minnesota. The Jets do have a good defense, but the Vikings, I think, is just too explosive to keep up with. They also are feeling pretty good after that bounce-back win, and they've also had a lot of time off. So give me the Vikings winning this game, guys, 31-20. Next game, guys, we have the 7-5 Commanders at the 7-4 Giants. The Commanders, man, are absolutely rolling right now. They've won, 4 or 5 in a row? They are playing very good football. They beat the Falcons last week. I know the Falcons aren't very good, but a win is a win. The Giants, meanwhile, are 7-4. Another team that's been a pleasant surprise this year. I think, to some extent, the Giants are kind of pretenders. I do think that they have talent, and I actually do think they're a decently well-coached team, but they have plenty of flaws. Their receivers are very mid, I think. Daniel Jones, I don't think, is very good. Barkley's excellent, but their offensive line is not great either. Their defense is okay. It has flashes, but it also lets up a lot of big plays. The Commanders, meanwhile, they are a team that I think is full of flashes and back and forths. Taylor Heinicke, he too will flash, but also look pretty bad. Terry McLaurin is obviously very good. He's been having a huge year. And then defensively, they've been very back and forth. They've had some slumps, but they've been playing pretty well as of late. And their front four, which is what it's always been known for, is getting healthy again. I think Daron Payne's back, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. I don't know if Chase Young is back, but the Commanders, front is getting healthier, and their secondary, is okay. The Giants, of course, find themselves in a very tough division this year, but they know they can still sneak into the playoffs. But give me the Commanders here, man. They are playing really good football right now. I'm very skeptical on how good the Giants truly are. Frankly, I don't think the Commanders are excellent either, but again, they're hot, and it's a lot about what team gets hot at the right time. So give me the Commanders winning this game, guys. 24-20. Should be a good game, though. Next game, guys, we have the 7-4 Titans and the 10-1 Eagles. So this should be another good game. We have a lot of good early games tomorrow. I'm pretty impressed. And then we, of course, have a really good late game that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So anyway, 7-4 Titans and the 10-1 Eagles. So the Titans coming off a tough loss to the Bengals last week, a game that they really wanted to win, a game that they should have won, but they could not beat the Bengals. And the Bengals, man, they had the Titans number. They beat them, 3 times in a row? Because they beat them during the regular season in 2020, then beat them in the divisional round last year, and then beat them in the regular season again this year. So the Bengals seem to have the Titans number. Anyways, the Titans are coming off a loss. They're now 7-4, still very much in playoff contention, but they need to rebound for sure. Very tough rebound ask here against the Eagles. 10-1. They're not totally fraudulent. Trust me, they're a good football team. They are not unbeatable. They are not they're not just going to steamroll through the playoffs. No chance. But they are a good team. They are not complete frauds, and they're going to be more than a first round exit. Trust me, they're going to make at least a decent run. Anyway. Their offense is feeling really good about last week. They ran the ball all over the Packers. Hurts played really well, running and throwing. But I had to think there's some concern for the Eagles' defense. It hasn't been very good lately. It's been, earlier in the season, I think it was pretty good, but it hasn't been great as of late, especially their run defense. And not having a good run defense playing against the Titans is not exactly going to bode well with Derrick Henry. The Bengals actually did a really nice job on him last week, but the Eagles, I don't know. They have some big names on the front four with like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, but it's not exactly been translating to the field. And I know the Eagles' run defense has been a question mark this year. Anyways, it's in Philadelphia. I know the Titans lost last week and they're desperate for a bounce back, but the Eagles are at home. They're playing good football right now offensively. So give me the Eagles winning this game, guys. Let's go with a high-scoring game here. 34-27, but it should be a pretty good game. Okay, guys, now we're moving into our later games. We have the 6-5 Seahawks and the 3-8 Rams. So the Seahawks have fallen off for sure. They were 6-2, 6-3 at one point. Geno Smith was balling. Geno Smith has still been pretty good, but not as good as he was earlier in the season. But then again, the Rams have been a huge disappointment this year. They've just been absolute garbage. Matthew Stafford is now on IR with like a neck injury. He could easily be out for the rest of the year. They got other injuries as well. Cooper Kupp's been out. their other receivers have been hurt. Defensively, they've been banged up. The Rams, it's not their year. They went all in last year to get a ring, and they did. So props to them. But now I think they're kind of finding, the all-in approach, which has been talked about a lot. Some people like the all-in approach, some people don't. And while it does perhaps get you a very good chance of winning a ring the following year, the aftermath in the preceding years can be really rough sometimes, and that's exactly what the Rams are going through, I think. Anyways, the Rams are at home. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. The Seahawks know they're slipping, but they still can sneak into the playoffs. They know that, so they're pretty desperate for a win. The Rams are banged up, so give me Seattle winning this game, guys. 27-17. Next game, guys, we have the 8-3 Dolphins at the 7-4 49ers. So the Dolphins, 8-3, they got off to a red hot start. Then they cooled off a bit when Tua Tagovailoa went out, but then they've been surging again. Their offense is just that wide receiver duo is just so electric with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. It's pretty amazing. I'm really, really hard to stop that because both are just so good at creating separation. And you can maybe double team one. You can't double team both because then someone is going to go wide open every time. Frankly, even if you double team one, someone will go wide open. But you can't double team both. You simply cannot. So you just got to trust your zone or someone one-on-one can handle them, and that's really, really hard to do. They know how to find soft spots in zones, and they know how to create separation one-on-one. And I think Tagovailoa has improved a lot. He's obviously having his best year. Dolphins defensively, I think have taken a little bit of a step back. They're definitely not as good this year as they were the past couple of years, but they're still decent. The Niners, meanwhile, again, they are just another scrappy team, but they're also a bit better than scrappy this year. They've been playing good football. Their running game is just electric as usual, and I also think the Niners are doing a better job of not relying so much on Deebo Samuel. They did a lot of that last year, and Samuel actually has not even been a huge factor this year. I mean, he has been in the sense that teams have to game plan for him, but ever since they got Christian McCaffrey, he has been balling. Their defense has been playing well. Garoppolo's been finding a lot of weapons. George Kittle is having kind of a renaissance here. So the Niners, I think, are really finding their identity, and they're doing a much better job of spreading the ball around, especially for Garoppolo himself. It's also in San Francisco, so give me the Niners pulling off. I don't know if it's an upset because they are at home, but I think the Niners are going to pull out a low-scoring game here. So give me the Niners pulling this one out, 21-17. It should be a good game though. Okay, guys, this is perhaps the game of the week. We have the 9-2 Chiefs at the 7-4 Bengals. So the Chiefs, 9-2. They're coming off a win against the Rams last week. A game that, I think they definitely could have scored more points. They had a turnover in the red zone. Or like even inside the 10, a rare mistake by Patrick Mahomes. But they still got the win, and their defense played pretty well. Bengals, meanwhile, feeling pretty good after their win against the Titans last week. That was a big win. And then, this is a really huge game. I'm really looking forward to watching this game because, of course, the Ravens play early, so this is a game that I can watch afterwards. And then a big storyline for the Bengals is, as far as I know I said Ja'Marr Chase earlier. Ja'Marr Chase, and yes, I mean Ja'Marr Chase, I believe is coming back for this game. I don't know for sure, but my understanding is he's done with his recovery from the hip injury, and he is going to play tomorrow against the Chiefs. And in the playoffs, he didn't do too much, but the regular season game against the Chiefs almost a year ago, he just absolutely tore it up. I'm not expecting a repeat of that, especially in his first game back, but, he is still a big-time factor. And the Bengals are hot right now. They've been playing really good football. Burrow's been playing really well. Their defense, after having a rough game against the Steelers 2 weeks ago, has looked great last week against the Titans, so they have some momentum. And I'm pulling for the Chiefs here. I really need them to win to move the Bengals back. But I don't think it's going to happen, man. The Bengals are at home. They're hot right now. And the Bengals know how to beat the Chiefs. They beat them twice last year, which is very hard to do. And I think it's going to happen again. The Bengals at home, and they seem to have the Chiefs' number. So give me the Bengals winning this game, guys. High-scoring game, 34-31. Okay, guys, this is our next game here. We have the 6-5 Chargers at the 4-7 Raiders. So the Chargers... Again, a very back and forth team this year, but once again, every year they got all this hype, and I will never understand it. Like every year they're always overrated. They're an average team. They're not elite by any means. They have talent and they have a lot of flashes, but they just can't keep it consistent. Part of the reasons why I don't think they're a well-coached team. I think Staley is a good offensive mind, but his decision-making is very questionable. Their defense, it improved a bit, but it's still not remotely good enough. It's also been dealing with a load of injuries. The Raiders, meanwhile, obviously have been a big disappointment this year. They have won 2 in a row, so I'll give them that. But obviously, a big disappointment this year. All that talent they got with, Devontae Adams, it just hasn't been going to fruition. I mean, Adams has been good, but Carr has been having like his worst year. Raiders defense is going back to being really bad. This is a must-win for the Chargers because they know, obviously, they're not going to catch the Chiefs in the AFC West, but they could get second place because the Broncos have been a huge disappointment. So they still have a chance, but they know that they need to stay ahead of the pace. So give me the Chargers pulling this one out on the road. Let's go with the Chargers 31-24. Okay, guys, this is our Sunday Night Football game. We have the 4-7-1 Colts at the 8-3 Cowboys. So the Colts 4-7-1, they kind of suck. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries. Jonathan Taylor's been in and out. Quentin Nelson's been in and out, but they're still just not a very good team. And Shaquille Leonard's been in and out as well. Of course, moving on from Frank Reich a few weeks ago, now it's been Jeff Saturday, I think, coaching. I don't think he's a long-term answer, but he's been the interim coach. The Cowboys, meanwhile, are playing really good football right now. They, again, they're just they're just dominating. They beat the Giants on Thanksgiving 10 days ago. Well, 9 days ago, technically. Prescott's been playing really well. The weapons are back at it with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and then the running backs with Pollard and Elliott. Defensively, they're much better than they used to be. This should be a pretty easy win for the Cowboys. They're at home. They're playing good football right now. The Colts are just kind of out of control. They're banged up, and they're not as good as they usually are. So give me the Cowboys winning this one pretty easily, 31-17. Okay, guys, this is our last game, Monday Night Football. We have the 4-8 Saints at the 5-6 Buccaneers. So the Saints, another team that's been a disappointment this year. A lot of disappointing teams this year, now that I think about it. They've had some injuries, but even when healthy, they haven't been great. Kamara hasn't been great. Thomas, of course, is out because he just can't stay healthy. And then they don't have a true quarterback. Dalton is not the guy. Winston, maybe we once thought he was the guy. He's not. Taysom Hill is not a true quarterback. He's just a very multi-dimensional guy. The Bucs, meanwhile, 5-6. They obviously have shown flashes, but they're still a very average team, I think. Brady, I don't know what he's going to do after this year, but he's still playing. He's still trying to power his team to another playoff berth at least. We'll see what happens. And obviously, the trend the past couple years has been like the Saints have the Bucs number. I don't think that's going to stay this year, partially because, of course, no more Drew Brees, but also the Saints aren't that good this year. The past couple of years, they've at least been pretty good. The Saints are not that good this year, I really don't think. It's in Tampa Bay. I think the Bucs can struggle. I can see them struggling, but I do think that they'll be able to pull it out in the end. So give me the Bucs winning this game, guys, 28-17. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, maybe be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I am out. Have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Go Ravens, and I will see you tomorrow after the Ravens game.